Hey, welcome in for another Drummer Daily. I am your host and your guide, your drum coach, Daniel Hadaway. Welcome in. Hey, by the way, before we get started today, if you've got a question that you'd like for me to answer on the podcast, the easiest way is probably just to go over to danielhadaway.com, and there's a form right there on the homepage where you can ask me a question. You can contact me and just say, hey, this is what I want to know. Or maybe it's not a question, maybe it's just, hey, I've never heard you talk about this on the podcast, and here's an idea. I mentioned in my last podcast that I'm surprised still there's things that I haven't covered because we're like, this is episode 146, by the way. So we're 146 episodes in, but I know there are things that you probably are like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious. Why haven't you talked about this? And I'm on the other side over here, ignorant as can be, thinking that I've covered it all. And you're like, you haven't recovered half of, drumming. So I don't know what I don't know. So hit me up on that website. Let me know what it is that I have not covered, and I will be happy to do it. And I'm happy that you've joined me. All right, so today I've got another question from a listener. This one comes from Mark. He says, I need to know, what is the most efficient way to network? What are the places or events to attend, websites, organizations to join, etc.? So Mark, I love this question because it is something that I know a lot of drummers want to know. In fact, this is probably, it probably is the most common question that I get, or some form of this question. It's hey, I want to try to get gigs, but I don't know anybody. How can I know people, or how do I network? Things like that. And I want to challenge you on this because the question you're asking is, what is the most efficient way to network? And I want to just make sure that we take a step back and we make sure that we're not making any assumptions about the process that we're trying to follow. So I think the first thing that I would do, and everyone is different, everyone has different goals. This is what I've learned in coaching drummers, is that everyone doesn't want to become the biggest drummer, most famous drummer in the world, touring football stadiums and soccer stadiums all over the world. A lot of people, want to just make a living playing drums, or they just think, you know what, I'd love to get paid, part-time to play the drums, or something else like that. So, I don't want to make the assumption of anyone's goals. So I want to provide you with advice that will help you no matter what level of goal as far as your drumming career goes that you have. So I would caution everyone listening to this, if you can hear my voice, to not assume that you need to network to make it as a pro drummer. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is you don't need to network in the traditional sense of the word. You do need other people, but I don't think that pursuing efficiency is going to necessarily provide you with, I don't think efficiency is going to provide you with what you want. So I want you to take a step back and actually ask yourself, what is my end goal as a drummer? What do I actually want to end up doing as a drummer? And it could be you want to do the full-time touring thing. It could be you just want to get some gigs around town. It could be that you want to record remote from home. It could be that you want to be a studio drummer. It could be any number of different things that you want to do. But look at your specific goal, and then kind of wipe your mind clean and don't take any assumptions about how it's supposed to be done, and start there. And maybe it is something that you eventually actually get back to, and you say, you know what, I do need to network. I do need to have some networking activities, things like that I need to do, and that is the best way to do it. But it may not always be the case. But I know that you're asking, I think what you're saying is that you need to meet people who may be able to provide you with paying gigs. Actually, I think in my next episode, I'm actually going to kind of cover that question a little bit. So listen to the next episode. That'll be episode number 147 when it comes out. But anyway, to answer your question, I would say this. You need to go to places, you need to find places that other musicians gather. One one tip that I have, and I don't know if I shared this on a podcast, I'm getting old, so I don't know if I shared this on the podcast or I might have shared this in one of my master classes. But one way to kind of get connected with other musicians, and I'm obviously assuming that you're a drummer because you're listening to this podcast. So you say, hey, I just want to get some experience collaborating with a guitar player or a bass player or something like that, and actually, show off what I can do from a musical perspective. One place to go is just looking online for forums that are collections of those other musicians. So go to a guitar players forum, or like some of the guitar subreddits on Reddit, or the bass player, subreddits or something like that. Just follow those kind of leads and go down those paths. And you reach out to people and say, hey, I'm a drummer. Find someone who maybe posted a video that looks like something you want to play on, and say, hey, I'm a drummer. Would you be willing to send me the tracks and let me record to that, or can we collaborate on something like that? And I know that may not seem very efficient, but the problem with efficiency when it comes to networking is surface relationships in the music business aren't actually going to get you anywhere. They might get you somewhere temporarily, but they're not going to keep you anywhere. They're not going to get you paying gigs that last. They're not going to get you probably any paying gigs. You got to have real and meaningful relationships with people. And approaching things from an efficiency standpoint are not going to get you those relationships. You've got to start helping individual people out. And it may seem long. It may seem like it doesn't go fast and it doesn't immediately provide you with the results that you want, but you've got to start investing in helping other people. And the great thing about that is that down the road, if nothing ever comes of it, which I think it will, something will come of it, but even if nothing ever does come of it, you have been gratified by the idea that you've helped other people and you've contributed to some meaningful, awesome music, even if those specific things didn't turn into a career for you. Now, I will say that, the people that are kind of like A-listers now, or the bigger names, and at least my music scene here in Nashville, the ones of those that actually hire me to play drums now are people who 5 or 7 years ago I was investing in personally and helping for free or for real cheap, or just kind of collaborating with and contributing to. I wasn't approaching it from a networking perspective. I got to know these people on a real level when they were just kind of getting their feet wet in the industry in their own way, and just helped them out. And so that's what's worked for me. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do, is that, the people that you work with now, if you work with enough people and you sincerely try to help other people with what they're trying to do musically, from a drumming perspective, from your own perspective, if you do that enough, then 5 or 7 years from now, or a little bit down the road, some of those people will be those A-list people, and they will still call you. And what's great is that once those people start calling you, you start working with those people, once they keep calling you as their careers progress, and you're the guy getting called, other A-listers are going to call you because they see you working with those A-listers. They don't know the reason why you're working with those guys is because you've known them for years and years and years, and you've kind of come up with them. They just see you doing the work and they're like, that guy's good enough, I'm gonna call him. That's what happens with me. And so that's what I think will work for you as well. But I will tell you one more thing. There is a website that a friend of mine from high school started. It's called that'smygig.com. It's just that'smygig, G-I-G.com. And it is a membership site where a lot of touring acts post gigs that are available for auditions, things like that, looking for drummers, looking for all other kinds of musicians and things like that. But that might be one place you look. If you think you're ready to actually jump into the touring world and that's what you want to do, and you want to, you think your playing's up there and you're ready to do something like that, head that direction. Maybe that's something you can do. Or if nothing else, go check it out and just explore and see what the requirements are, how people are speaking, how they're at, what they're looking for in drummers. A lot of those things are listed out in these listings, and so check that out. And I'll also put this in the show notes, so you can go check out danielhadaway.com/146, and I'll have a link to that site there as well. But I hope that helps you. Great question, Mark. And thanks for writing in and asking. And I hope this helps you out a little bit. And I hope this helps you out wherever you are in your drumming career. I hope that this inspires you to take some action, to maybe reevaluate how you're thinking about your drum career, how you're thinking about it, making the next steps and making this thing happen for you. But thanks for listening to Drummer Daily, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye for now.